That was Kevin Gausman striking out the side in the 6th inning against the Houston Astros. Jeremy Pena, who had a rough night, 4 Ks. Yordan Alvarez worked from behind in both of those at-bats to get the strikeout. And then Alex Bregman, the last of which you heard right there. Kevin Gausman's a damn good pitcher for Toronto. And the old-time baseball head in me, and you know he's there, realizes that sometimes you just have to tip your cap to a great performance by the opposition, right? Gausman's one of the best pitchers in baseball. 7 innings pitched, and after that leadoff home run that he allowed to Mauricio Dubon, he had 13 strikeouts, 0 walks, only 4 hits the whole game, 2 by Dubon, 2 by Corey Julks, none by any of the guys that you expect. It was to be expected too, right? I mean, the Astros did score 11 runs last night, and we are really smart baseball minds here on the Paul Gallant Show. When the Astros score 8 runs or more in a game, you know what happens the next game? Not good things. You got to stop scoring runs when you get to 7. You can't score 8 or more. 8 runs against the Tigers earlier this year, 2 runs the next game. 8 runs against the Pirates, 4 the next game. 8 runs against the Rangers, 1 the next game. 9 runs against the Blue Jays, 2 the next game. We're going to pretend that the 8 runs against the Blue Jays weren't followed up with 6 against the Braves the next night. 12 runs against the Brewers, 2 the next. 9 runs against the Angels, 1 the next. Last night, 11. On Tuesday, you get 1 against the Toronto Blue Jays. Sean Mapes, we are a smart baseball show, and a lot of baseball seam heads think, hey, we know a thing or two more about baseball than us, but nope, we understand the Astros have to stop scoring runs when they get to 7.
And the proof is in the pudding right there. I mean, the only exception was the 8 against the Blue Jays, but then they played a different team, 6 against the Braves. You can throw that out of the sample.
Exactly.
Completely ruins the sample.
You can always find data to support your argument, no matter how stupid the argument is. But now that we've gotten past talking about how you tip your hat to Kevin Gausman and the Astros just scored too many runs the night before, let's dive into something that we have not dove into thus far this year. Dusty Baker and his lineup management. He had a great playoffs, both with the lineup management and the bullpen management and the rotation management. And we figured we'll give him some benefit of the doubt going into this year. But now that we're 2 months in, going into a game where Gausman's on the mound, you know you're without Jose Altuve. Why not play, I don't know, the guy who had 4 extra base hits in the 2 games before, Yainer Diaz, first base or catcher? You had options. You could have made him your designated hitter. Instead, you rolled with Jose Abreu, Martin Maldonado, 0 for 6 with 3 strikeouts, and Maldonado had a throwing error. Before the game, Dusty Baker had this to say about why Yainer Diaz didn't play. Quote, I love the hitting, but there's more to catching than hitting, more than any other position on the field other than the pitcher. That's part of our defense. If they don't score, we're not losing. Well, if you don't score, you're not winning. And when you're going up against Kevin Gausman, you need to have all the bats that you possibly can. Continued Dusty, Maldi can control the game almost better than anyone. It's tough for me to have rookies on the mound, and it's even tougher when you got a rookie catcher and a rookie on the mound. Diaz caught Hunter Brown 5 times this year. Hunter Brown pitched last night. Hunter Brown was okay. Not his best. Gave up a couple of home runs. 3, I think, to be specific. Was it 2, 3? Whatever the case. Not his best outing. That's how the Blue Jays got their runs, was by hitting home runs. Said Baker about Yainer Diaz continued. Diaz is still trying to learn. He's learning his craft, and it's on-the-job training. Do you get on-the-job training when you're sitting on the bench? Do you get on-the-job training when you're not in the batter's box going up against one of the best challenges in the American League in Kevin Gausman? The answer is obviously no. So I hate to finally bring the knives out for Dusty Baker, but last night that was a lineup management decision. And when you take a look at where the Astros stand in the AL West, which will be more of a dogfight this year, just given the way that the Texas Rangers have started, last season was a cakewalk. It was so easy for them. This year's different. When you're going up against a good pitcher, you should have the best possible lineup you can out there. Is defense really going to make that much of a difference? Is Martin Maldonado really going to make that much of a difference? Because statistically, we know he's not the best at throwing runners out. He did throw a runner out last night, but he had the error that he threw into the outfield. It is entirely a feel thing when it comes to Martin Maldonado behind home plate catching pitchers. You might have a comfort, Dusty Baker, being a longtime manager in baseball with Maldonado in there as opposed to Diaz. But when Diaz has caught Hunter Brown before, and when Diaz is red hot at the plate, it's inexcusable to keep him out of the lineup against one of the best pitchers in baseball. It's that simple. Really, it's that simple. I'm not yelling at Dusty Baker, but I mean, damn, even Dana Brown is disagreeing here. This is the first pushback I can remember from Dana Brown against Dusty. He was asked before the game about Yainer Diaz not playing. I like when he's in the lineup. I like what he brings to the table. I like that he has power. His OPS is climbing. Ultimately, I want to see him in the lineup more. But Dusty is running the team. He's the manager. It's his job to find a place for him to get in the lineup. I think he'll do that. It's a matter of the dog days of August, the middle of July. He could get a little bit more time. Well, why not against the best pitcher that the Astros will face this year? I mean, Gausman was brilliant last night. How many pitchers are going to be able to do better than what Gausman did? 13 strikeouts in 7 innings, 4 hits allowed, 1 run. Not many. Continue Dana. Dusty worked him in there. Would have been nice to see him a little bit more. But you know what? I'm not in Dusty's shoes. I'm not running the lineup. Okay, well, this is how you push responsibility on the manager if you're the general manager. Maybe Dana Brown is learning to say more than just extremely pandery things about what the Astros might do. It's his job and it's his call. I think he played him enough that he got some good at-bats in. But once he started playing a little bit more, I think he's cleaning up the approach a little bit, and the OPS is on the rise. Losing development time is big for a young prospect. Can you develop when you go up against a good pitcher? A question, just a thought, food for thought. I think now that he's playing a little bit more, he's actually starting to get in the groove a little bit. Well, he couldn't stay in that groove last night because he was out of the lineup. As long as he can continue to do that, I think that's very good. He could not continue to do that last night because he wasn't in the lineup. The development time is important, and that's one of the things we worried about with carrying the 3 catchers. Was he going to lose development time while playing? Well, he's losing development time by not playing. Jeremy Branham on the Killer Bees had a good plan, I think, yesterday for getting Yainer Diaz some more at-bats. 2 games a week at catcher, 2 games a week at first base, 1 game a week at DH, which means 5 games a week. I am cool with all ideas that gets Diaz more playing time. And I'm annoyed that he didn't play last night. I understand that Dusty Baker loves his veterans. You want to show Maldonado deference, blah, 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 blah. You're going up against a great pitcher, Cy Young caliber. Put together the best lineup you can. We'll see what the Astros do tonight. It looks like there's some guys that are going to get the night off. Hopefully, Jose Altuve is going to be back. You had no Altuve. You also decided, hey, we're not going to put Yainer Diaz in the lineup. I'm annoyed. Paul Gallant, show ESPN 97.5, 92.5. Twitch.tv/ESPN 97.5, HRW_S1W. Dusty, 1 World Series championship. Paul, 0 World Series championships. That's true. I never even got all the way to the World Series in MVP baseball 2005. Nope. Never got quite there.
What?
I don't even know what the celebration was like. The problem was
the champagne, the digital champagne looked like it tastes so good.
I spent a lot more time, Sean, while playing that video game, playing with the minor league teams, because I'd always start with some bad team. I like to play with
real grinder. That's what you are.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was fun to play with a bad team and try to turn them around. So generally, I'd be playing in the minor leagues, drafting a guy and trying to turn that guy into the next Babe Ruth. A text here. Since last year, this is the 10th time we scored 10-plus runs and followed the next day with a loss with dreadful scoring. Hell yeah. I like that from the 713. A little bit more statistical data. A texter asks, are we forgetting about diplomatic immunity with Dusty Baker? He was in international territory. He was in Toronto.
It was different jurisdiction.
Yeah, different jurisdiction there.
So in the U.S., on U.S. soil, still diplomatic immunity?
Theoretically.
Or do you want to see how it goes through in the Canadian courts tonight?
I guess I do. I guess I want to see that, Sean.